Hi, I'm Martin Hogan, and in this tutorial, we're going to talk about how to apply quality improvement. So how I feel that I apply quality improvement, I do this as part of my general practice, my leadership, when I'm delivering any form of clinical supervision as well. So top tips and some real life examples of what I've done moving forward. But let's start off with the definition. So the definition of quality improvement is felt that it's a systemic approach to identifying problems and implementing change to enhance the quality, efficiency, effectiveness of a process or service. Now, to me, that's all fancy schmancy, but what it means is it's a methodology that's used to apply to overcome problems or attempt to overcome problems, which is what we as professional advocates do all the time, not just in restorative clinical supervision, but also in our career conversations, but also with our quality improvement initiatives and supporting others as well to deliver quality improvement, because QI, quality improvement, is like the language of executives. So how I want to engage my chief executive isn't by going around telling him how lovely everything is. It's by showing him the data of how effective or impactful I have been, or the work that we have done as professional advocates within the organization. The whole purpose of QI is to provide value, so it's useful to have a process, have measures for change that you can share and demonstrate your impact, and it can support restoration as well. So I know you're probably sat here going, oh no, you don't restore people with quality improvement, but actually you do, because you can get them over the hump or through the hurdle. And yeah, getting people over the hump, which is what I've said on the screen there, because you might not be able to understand your problem or where you are, and you're stuck problem worshipping. So whereas if you break it down by utilizing quality improvement methodology, you can see where all the holes are in the bucket, and then you can actually go and attempt to do something about it. And if you notice that I've used the word attempt rather than fix, because we can't fix everything. So, and projects don't have to be perfect, like embrace failure as your new best friend, because it helps you become more resilient. And if you're becoming more resilient, you're then restoring yourself as well as the people you're supporting, but you're also helping to create that culture where it's okay to make mistakes, as long as no one's at risk. Making mistakes in projects and quality improvements absolutely fine. I have made every mistake you can think of under the sun, and I've got back up again. I've dusted myself off and I've gone, okay, well, that was annoying, but you learned. So in this workbook, or this AI robot, whatever, this video, we're going to explore something I've invented, which is another form of quality improvement called the snakes and ladders model. So lots of professional advocates say to me that they never understand when they would utilize quality improvement whilst delivering restorative clinical supervision. And maybe I'm wrong, but like I find it really easy to know what to do. But that's because I've made so many made so many mistakes in doing supervision, really bad supervision, that I have reflected on that. And then the more I reflect, the more I improve, because I am aware of what I did wrong. And it's that deep reflection that helps you improve and develop. We're also going to look at the QI template that I invented, because I'm very clever and I can do things like that. And my love language is sharing, but you can overshare as well. So I'm always mindful of not oversharing, but trying to do different forms of teaching like this makes it more interactive, but you're still getting the education and development as well. We're going to look at a driver diagram, a PDSA cycle, and another QI project, which I haven't won an award for yet, but I will be winning one at some point, called Itchy Feet Clinics as well. We're also going to look at really easy methodologies such as the driver diagram and a PDSA cycle, because they're my favorite. Don't make things complicated. I try to make everything easy, not because I'm lazy, but because my neurodivergent brain understands stuff differently. So I have to learn it from the fundamental point of view and build my knowledge up. So don't tell me anything complicated, because I won't understand it. It's like learning to take blood for the first time. I don't want to just take the blood with the needle. I want you to explain what you're doing and how you're doing it and why you're doing it. Then I want to have a go and practice a couple of times so I can get my positioning of my hand right before I even go anywhere near a live person. And it's the same with all things like quality improvement or supervision. Practice, practice, practice. The more you practice, the more familiar you will be with all of that. So, because I am a 41-year-old man who essentially is a child or has the mind of a child, I'm very playful. And as a child, as we all know, children learn through play. And I think adults should learn that as well. We should still continue to play because it's a really powerful tool to help get the information from our short term to our long term. I was going to get that wrong there. So it's how we semantically encode and process information from the short term to the long term in our memory. So going back to childhood, a game we used to play was called Snakes and Ladders. And it's a board game where you would roll a dice and move your piece around the board. And if you rolled a dice and landed on a ladder, you could take things forward and go forward. If you landed on a snake, that meant you had to stop and go back. So I was like, this is perfect for professional advocates because sometimes in supervision, you're talking to me about stuff that absolutely is not appropriate for quality improvement. Like if you're, I don't know, having a fight with a partner or you're having financial difficulty, a, that's not clinical supervision. B, that's not, I'm not going to do any QI. Like, I don't even know what QI I would use to support that. So, not everything is appropriate for quality improvement, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be. You're best placed to feel what's in your gut, what feels right for you and the person you're supporting. People might also be a bit too distressed to think about anything else or too stressed. If you're too stressed, you're not able to process and take other things on. So, it's just to say that if you roll on a snake, you take a turn, you find the project in the themes of the RCS, that means you've landed on a ladder. Great. If you've landed on a ladder, that means you can take QI forward. If you've landed on a snake or the themes of what people are talking about in supervision, that means you can't take QI forward. So it's to empower you to make that decision using the snakes and ladders model of practice. Now, there are four elements to RCS, as we all know. There's the normative, which is the psychologically safety contracting, or the beginning bit, where you lay out the ground rules and you both agree what's going to make both of you feel psychologically safe in this space, all the boundaries, the timing, the frequency, la da 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 da. Then you move into the restorative section, which is over to them. So that's where I, as a big mouth, loudmouth, chatty Cathy, need to sit on my hands, close my mouth, and turn up my ears, because it's over to the supervisee then to check in how they are, what's going on for them, agenda items they want to discuss in clinical supervision. Then the third bit is the formative. That's where you both come back together, and I can ask explorative questions or clarifying questions. It's also that section that I might be able to challenge the thought process of the supervisee as well. And then we have the final bit, which is the closing or the ending, which is the personal action for quality improvement. That's where you do the action planning or where you implement quality improvement. So in this model, the snakes and ladders model, where to apply the snakes and ladders model is the third and fourth point. So I don't think about any quality improvement in point one. I might start to think about QI in point two, but it's the three and the four where I really start to embed that. And we'll look at how you do that in a minute. So, for example, now this is a joke. Everyone can calm down. It's a joke. We're trying to have fun. Learning through fun is more important. So, if you're supervising Martin, that's me, and I mentioned that I want to lose 2 stone, and we've agreed that yes, that's a viable project. So here we've landed on a ladder that we can take forward the QI project. All I would ask as the supervisor, if I was supervising Martin, all I would ask Martin is to jot down some change ideas on a post-it note or a rough piece of paper, whatever you want. And these change ideas, the 3 of them that he's come up with, is that Martin's going to eat more healthy food, he's going to go to the gym more, and he's going to track his diet and exercise. Lovely. So he started to do QI. In fact, he started to build his own driver diagram. So you can see the yellow boxes here, they're the change ideas. So they're what you want to change. Like what do you want to change? And you've understood why you want to make those changes. And then we move into that, well, I don't even know what color that is. It's like an off-white color where it says education co-design project and engage stakeholders. That's your secondary drivers. They're the themes of how you're going to get the change ideas to move them forward, what you're going to do. And then you can see in the green boxes, they're the primary drivers. So that the 2 things that you've identified that you need to do in order to make change. And then finally, you have the little, I'm really bad with my colors. Finally, then you have the other green, the lighter green color, which is your smart aim. So your smart aim is what is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, or timely. Almost forgot them. So if it's not smart, don't do it. It's not a QI project. Yeah. So that's clear. So that's easy, that you're just using post-it notes really and talking people through, okay, we start with the change ideas. What do you want to change? We've lumped them together there, you can see, but in themes, like things that are similar. And then we move on to our secondary drivers and our primary drivers and then our smart aim. Now the drivers, the clue is in the name, is what's going to drive forward that change, what's going to drive forward your change idea. And the smart aim helps you identify and assess whether it really is QI or not. So if it's not smart, don't do it. Yeah. So for example, Martin trying to lose 2 stone in the next 2 weeks is not smart. It's specific, yes. It's measurable, yes. It's not achievable. It's not realistic, and it's not timely. I'm going to fail. So why would I want to already set myself up for a fail? Now, it's okay to fail, but if we're, as the people delivering and supporting QI, we don't want the people we're supporting to fail. That's not the point of this. Now, you can see here that the P&A or professional advocate QI template that I use to make everything simple. It's the building blocks of where I start. I take myself down this roadmap where I ask people, or I ask myself, what do I want to change? Why do I want to make that change? How will I know when I've been successful? How will I measure this? Who is going to help? Because QI shouldn't be done alone. And how are you going to communicate with the team? So remember, you need a QI team, you need people who are engaged, and an executive sponsor. And then what is the smart aim? Then I'm going to plan and do. Then I'm going to study and act. Easy. And then I'm going to review at various different milestones throughout this, so I know that I'm getting everything right. I'm testing all my changes, and I'm making sure that I'm on track for completion. So this is a PDSA cycle, as we've alluded to earlier, a plan, do, study, act. So I didn't invent it, it's QI methodology. So the plan section is the question there is what will happen if we try something different? So in the plan, what I'm doing is setting the objective, the questions, making my predictions, plan to carry out, who, what, when, where. And then over to the do section. Did I say that right? Do. And that's when I'm going to carry out the plan. I'm going to document problems and begin to data analyze. And the question there is, let's give it a try. And then the study section is the complete data analysis, compare to predictions and summarize. And the question there is, did it work? And then the act section is ready to implement, try something else, and the next cycle. So the question there is, what's next? So the PDSA cycle can be a little bit controversial. Yes, I know, it's just a cycle. But the argument is, when does it stop? So when it starts, but when does it stop? It could just go round and round and round on a loop. So it's really important that you have clear in your smart aim of your deadline. So when are you going to do this by? So a date of when you're going to do it by, and you plan throughout your QI project at various different milestones to check that you are on track. So this is the QI project that I have tried, again, because I'm a child, but I also like radical and catchy words because they really help engagement. And I was in a meeting with someone from HR, and they said, oh yes, we've had an itchy feet conversation. I was like, oh, I'm stealing that. Itchy feet clinics for professional advocates, easy. Now, it did get me into a little bit of trouble with podiatrists because they did think I was trying to come for their job. But I reassured them that I wasn't. And this was a QI project where I was helping retention and improving staff and therefore patient safety. So in itchy feet clinics are safe spaces for staff to offload how they're feeling when they feel like running away. So if you're itchy to run away, or you're itchy for further development, I put on itchy feet clinics. And how they run, I ask leaders within their teams, within their area, if they're worried about anything or if they're worried about staff, I agree protected time for the staff to be released, normally about 45 minutes. I book a room or do it online. If protected time isn't agreed, I do this informally. Like I'll just go and take a group of staff for a walk, or I'll walk them to their next visit because of where I work 4 days a week. Um, why do we need itchy feet clinics at work? Well, staff can be mistrusting of RCS. They think, oh, Martin's come in as a spy for the directors. I didn't get paid enough to spy on anyone. But to create that psychological safety, nurses don't often understand what clinical supervision is, have no idea what restorative clinical supervision is. So it's a way of getting that psychological safety quicker and building them up and setting them up for success, so they leave feeling that they've improved or been restored, and then they've been exposed to clinical supervision. It's a more friendly way and it's less formal. It's totally free, and they're within the reach of the staff as well. So it's really, if you don't believe me, the teeny tiny bit at the bottom there, if you don't believe me, 99.9% of staff who've attended report feeling better and less stressed, yippee. 100% of staff leave feeling clearer with their next steps. 145 staff have gone on to undertake the P&A role. 25 staff have got promotions, and 3 people actually went off sick. And whilst you think, why are you bragging about that? I'm not really bragging. I'm just saying that this was the first time they've ever been sat down and someone's spoken to them and said, I don't think you should be at work. I don't think you're looking after yourself. I don't think you're well enough to function. Like, you're incredibly stressed. You've got musculoskeletal pain. You've got sleep deprivation. Like, you're running on empty. So actually having that someone kind of say to them, look, I don't think you should be at work. I don't think you're safe to be at work, points out the fact that they've been running on empty for years. So this has worked very, very well. And I just made it up because I knew that there were problems within an area with retention. And I think back to my long, long, long career where I've sometimes really struggled with teams that have been understaffed, and that's really burnt me out. So I thought, well, that's a quick win for us as professional advocates to go in and look after those teams. So top tips around doing a quality improvement project or supporting people to do a QI project. Remember, firstly, that not everything is quality improvement. I know we might all want it to be, but it's not. My second tip is, if it feels wrong or not appropriate, don't make it a QI project. My third tip is, when you say quality improvement to people, they tend to run away from me. So, you might have to try a different tactic. My third tip is, remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. And if you're already doing loads of other stuff and people are really stressed and burnt out, don't make another, it feels like another thing. So that kind of stresses people out. My fourth and most important tip is, look, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Just give it a go. It's okay to make mistakes in QI and project management. That's fine. It's all about learning. And it's like playing a violin, isn't it? The more you practice, the better you're going to be. And if Martin can do it, you can too. Thank you very much.